Being 7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting of the town of Camden to order. First off, let's pledge allegiance.
You don't know. That was close.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, as a reminder, as a service to the public, the council meetings are recorded for viewing on the local cable station and on the town's website page. Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the September 15th regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I will second that motion.
Okay, I need a motion to accept the executive session at Camden.
Yeah, on the memorandum, it just states that who was in attendance and an affirmation that all we discussed was what we said we were going to discuss in the public notice. And then it is witnessed by Andy and myself.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
I will second those minutes.
And then we also have to send an action.
And then I need the same thing on the Delphi. Okay with that?
Yeah, I'll make a motion for that, the Delphi executive meeting today.
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion to approve the October docket and the allowance docket.
I'll make a motion, yeah, for October docket and allowance docket.
Second.
Are there any questions on the docket?
No,
Well, I had one. What do you get for $4.50 for a first aid kit? Banded?
From the Dollar General, thank you.
Wow.
don't hit an artery. Don't hit an artery, that's what you get.
Okay. Okay, Laura Wells with the EDC Director, update on the EDC. You're up, Laura.
Hi, good time.
Long time no see.
Yeah,
Again,
it's been a
and
while.
again, and again.
Podium. Okay, well, so it's been a little crazy and I wanted to just kind of touch base with you guys. Sorry, my, can I fix it?
Yeah.
There you go.
I just wanted to kind of update you guys where we are. You know, we are working on a project together right now, so you're familiar with that. But some of the other things that we have going on is now that we're in a 4-year contract with the town to perform economic and community development services for Camden. So we moved to our new building in the industrial park in February. It's going well. We love being in the industrial park, miss being downtown, but it's working out very well. It's a beautiful facility, top-notch meeting space. You have 3 appointments to the EDC Board of Directors. Mark is one of them, and Bob Overman and Julia Leahy are the other 2. Mark's been a terrific new addition to the board. Just brings a really good perspective with his connections at Purdue and his experience there, and been very active and involved. We appreciate it and enjoy having him. And Bob Overman, I don't know that we could have a better cheerleader for the EDC, and when he gives his impassioned speeches about in support of our efforts, they're moving. So we love Bob and his passion. We closed a couple of projects this calendar year. One of them I just passed on my way here just now. Whitman Pig Company, they had their grand opening in May. That's a kind of a hog transfer station. Its code name was Project Reject. It buys hogs that are rejected by the two major processors in our area, IPC and Tyson. When that project is at full capacity, anticipating it having 10 full-time jobs, average salary is more than $35,000 a year, full benefits paid by the company, and nearly $2 million in investment. So that was a good win. Another agribusiness. It's right in our wheelhouse. We've been working with the council pretty much all of 2016 on resolving a tax abatement request from IPC for their bacon production expansion that we announced last September in Tokyo with the governor. I think we're very close to the finish line after today's county council meeting. So that's going well. We supported $10,000 to the floor of the Rail Depot restoration project this year. We have been working with the developers of the former Peters and Revington facility. It's now known as Peters Industrial Development. Those are two guys from the area who also bought the former Globe Valve facility. And so that's in North Washington Street in Delphi. In their former Globe Valve facility, known as the Delphi Industrial Park, Next Day Container, we brought them here in 2014. They announced at our luncheon in August that they were adding a second shift. That started last month. So they've done very well at the Delphi facility, and I'm not sure what the final number of new full-time jobs that adding second shift will entail, but it will be over 10. We're working with there's a Lilly Prosperity Grant for our region. It's kind of headquartered or centered around Tippecanoe County, but we've been very active in advocating for Carroll County as that moves forward, and there will be dollars put up by the Lilly Endowment to implementing this prosperity grant, and we want to make sure that we're at the table and considered for some projects. We're also working with just this morning, Mark was there. We heard a presentation from the Schaefer Freeman Lakes Environmental Conservation Corp, easier to say SFLECC, and their efforts to protect lake levels on Lake Freeman. The federal Fish and Wildlife has come in and demanded that Tippecanoe River on the other south of Oakdale be maintained at a certain level to protect the mussel population, which is very important. We're supportive of protecting the mussels, but it's also detrimental to assessed value in Carroll County if lake levels go down. Talking a 30% loss in property values, which is very, very likely in the event that lake levels are lowered, would have a $1.2 million annual tax impact on the overlapping taxing units on Lake Freeman. So that's significant concern for assessed value, the EDC supporting SFLECC. We are working with the Camden Florida Rail Corridor Commission. The EDC continues to support that with a $5,000 a year contribution. A couple of our board members sit on that board. And I might talk to Pete Wagner more than my husband, at least today. Definitely today. I'll talk to all of you more than my husband today. But so we've been working on that rail corridor project since April. I was going back through my notes. Since April, we've invested a lot of not only staffing resources and board member time, but running reports through Umball using their financial services. So there's been some expense with that project, although compared to the previous project we worked with Rail Corridor Commission, we did a pretty good job of keeping our expenses on this project in check. But some very exciting developments today, and looking forward to moving forward and working with you guys on that. And then finally, we also have Within the next 30 days, we'll have a large expansion project with the local industry ready to announce. We should have that date finalized by Monday, and make sure all of you are invited as well to that. But we're really excited. Our plan is to end 16 with a lot of momentum, as was reported in the comment last week. I reported to the Redevelopment Commission, we've seen a decline in our state leads, and that trend's been going for about a year and a half now. Plenty of political speculation as to why we've seen a reduction in our leads, some actions by the State House, but also it's been my experience that I've been doing this long enough to have gone through several presidential cycles now. During presidential election years, we've seen companies not hesitant or nervous to make those large investments just because they're unknown, that the future's unknown. Not that if Hillary wins that they're going to change their mind and not do the project, but because they're not sure of what administration they'll be facing, they just kind of hold on to their money and keep it close. So we've kind of weathered that through 16 and still had some major wins. We are bracing ourselves. We are ready for 17 to be active and hopping, and we'll go out and create that activity. We don't expect it to come knocking on our door, although sometimes it does, and we're ready to pounce when that happens too. But we're going to go out and create our own opportunities, continue knocking on doors. So that's just a very brief synopsis of kind of what we've been up to, and I wanted to talk to you guys about that. I'd be happy to answer any questions from you guys or from the audience.
I'm good.
I think I'm good too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Oh, no problem. Now, I was when I was kind of preparing for this, one interesting statistic that doesn't get reported on, but looking at unemployment figures for August of 2016, and the unemployment rate actually in August of 16 crept up 0.3 of a point versus August of 2015. But when you dig, and so it looks like, oh, the sky is falling, our unemployment rate is going up. It's still well below the national average. But when you dig a little deeper, looking at the size of our labor force, 948 more people are employed in Carroll County in August of 2016 compared to August of 2015. So we keep hearing about this jobless recovery, and I do think that we endured a period of that. Looking at June, that figure was 475. So from June to August, about 500 more people were working versus the previous year. But I was thrilled with the June figure. That was 475 more in June of 16 versus June of 15. But I think we're finally seeing the jobless recovery over. More people are engaged in the workforce. And I don't think it's going to take too long for us to start seeing the trickle-down effect of that. I just wanted to give you the heads up.
Thank you very much, Laura.
No
Appreciate
problem.
it.
My pleasure.
So enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you, Laura. Okay, Lyndon, Wolf,
Yes,
you're up.
Would you like me over
I
here?
don't care. Stand wherever you want. Wherever you feel
All right,
comfortable.
I'm going to, as I mentioned to Pam, give out some papers here that I had talked with her about. And here they are. One for each of you. Yeah, there. Pat, I think you have one, but I went ahead and did a summary there for everyone. I think there's enough for, you get one there, and give one to our comment person here. If you'd like, I'll step over here, out of the way. I think I came here last year as well, and it's that time of year that I'm probably not the most joyous person because I deal with insurance, but nevertheless, everyone has to have it or suffer the alternative. But the rates for your group health insurance for the employees is going up as it does each year with not only the company you're with, but with really with any company for that matter. What we've seen with this company is we've seen a lower rate of increase than we've seen with prior companies. If you look at the one page where it says your renewal snapshot, at the bottom right-hand corner, it says page 14. And I think it might be the second page in there. You can look at everything across there in due time, but if you look there, their total in bold, total current premium is listed there at $38.24. That would be a monthly premium. And then the total new premium is coming in at $42.04.95. And that increase there, the difference in that is 9.6 for the year. As far as coverages, the coverages remain the same. And they'll remain at their, whatever they are now, they'll remain the same for the renewal term. And this renewal term typically would go from 12/1/16 to 12/1/17. But because of a lot of the changes that are going on in the healthcare marketplace, what is happening is everything has to transition at the end, or actually January 1/2018. So what the carrier is doing is basically giving you, or any company, employer, that has a 12/1/16 renewal, a renewal clear through the end of the year. So it's actually a 13-month renewal, 12/31/17. After that time, we don't know what's going to happen with the election. We don't know what's going to happen with the administration. We don't know what plans are going to be available. So what we do know is that we'll be back in touch either during the course of the year, but especially in October of next year, to bring you up to date in plenty of time if there are major changes that we have to switch companies, if they're not available anymore, or switch plans, what have you. We don't see any changes in that 13-month period once this renewal takes effect 12/1/16, other than possibly demographics as far as age. If there's an age band change, they increment in 5-year age band. So if someone has a birthday, it throws them from a age 20, 25 bracket, goes into 26 on up, then you could see that, which is usually minor. So the rates would be basically set for that year. Now, you are in your group, like many of my groups, they're in what they call they went from a grandfather to a grandmother status, and they just sort of kick the can down the road, and it's in what they give it a transitional period, or transitional policies. And those transitional policies are exempt from having what they call community rates, which healthcare reform dictated. If you leave this plan, leave this company, or change plans, you will lose your transitional or your grandmother status, never to return. So any change that you make, whether to, and I've mentioned this to Pat, there are some options here that will keep your premium down so there's no increase. But what would happen if you made a change? To do that, your renewal would be 12/1/16 to 12/1/17. And then you would have to make a change to something, whatever's available that we would have for 12/1/16 through the end of the year, 12/31. And then because of the healthcare reform, then we would have to do something else January 1 again, because they're going to try to get everybody on a 1/1 effective date. So it's not a mess, but at the same time, it is, to make things simpler. All my groups, and I have many of them, but all my groups are keeping the transitional plan because the government may choose, after the election, may choose to go ahead and kick the can down the road and examine everything and so forth and see what happens. And those transitional plans potentially could keep your rates from jumping anywhere from 20 to 100%. When they go on to community rating. That's the protection these transitional plans offer. There's not very many players in the market anymore.
Right.
The government has, for the most part, has seen to that, and a lot of players have gone out. You probably read and heard the news, United Healthcare has pulled out, at least the individual side, Indiana University has pulled out of the on exchange for 17 on the individual. Forcing a lot of companies to drop group insurance and go to individual, but that's another mess in itself. So the group insurance is still the best market for the broadest network coverage to give you in and out of network with no limitations to speak of and choice of providers. So a lot of groups, small groups, have chosen to stay that way for at least through this election period to see what happens for another year.
Are you saying you can still pick your provider?
Yeah, in your group insurance method, basically the way you're set up and the way small groups are set up, you have an Anthem network, but the Anthem network in a group plan is much, much different than what people see on an individual side. So if you weren't a part of a group, an employer group, for instance, and you went out to buy your insurance on just a general marketplace,
Right.
you will find that the provider network is, it's night and day.
Right, I'm sure of that.
So where your doctors you're going to now may accept that, on the marketplace, they may not accept it, only in an emergency situation. And so that's the luxury that a small group has at this point in time, at least through 2017 to December 31st.
Yeah, you get that extra month where you're talking.
Yes. Now the plan in the paperwork that I've given you, I discussed this a little bit with Pat, and I left this in here. There's some alternate plans for you to look over. And the one plan on page 20 at the bottom right-hand corner, I put a little bit of a star up there about midway there, and it's you'll see a little star there underneath the grayed area, and it says Anthem Silver Blue Access PPO 3500E/0%/5000 with HSA. Okay, that plan, if you would switch to that plan to curtail your increase, if you look down on the grid just before add and replace, you'll see that reflects a 1% increase instead of a 9.6% increase for your renewal. So you'd only have a 1% increase. You'd have a 38.54.53, which wouldn't be much over what you're paying now, 38.24. Now, with that change, as I mentioned, you're going to lose the, number one, just reiterate, you're going to lose the transitional plan, which means that you're not going to be able to go back to anything. You're kind of all bets are off. Whatever the government says with the community rating or the healthcare reform, you're in it for the long haul for whatever if you want to choose to continue health insurance. The other change as far as employees go is this. Your current plan has a $3,000 deductible for an individual and a it actually is $6,000. It's what it's called $3,000, $6,000 basically, and what that actually means is it's a $3,000, $4,000 for an individual. The $3,000 is a deductible that everything goes to that deductible except for preventive care. Preventive care, if you go in network, it's 100% paid. So it doesn't count toward your deductible or anything else, it just paid, as long as it's in network, your wellness visits, things like that. But that $3,000, say, beginning of the year or beginning of your term, which is 12/1, what happens with that is everything goes in that. It's your hospital, emergency, ancillary, prescription drugs, doctor visits, special, everything goes in the pot. Once that $3,000 is met, then you look to the right of that, it says $4,000. The additional $1,000 for that employee only would have to be met only with prescription drugs, and the prescription drugs at that point would not have deductible to worry about, it'd just be co-pays. And those co-pays are to the direct right, which says 10 for generic, 30 for brand, and so forth. So that would only pertain, so if you're not on any drugs, for instance, then that $1,000 wouldn't even be a bearing.
Right.
Or if you don't meet it, which is good, because that means you're not on very many drugs and you're healthy. Now for a family, it's just twice that. So you're looking at $6,000 for a family, which is 2 deductibles, 1 per person, maximum 2 per family. And then when you see the $8,000 over there, then they just have to meet the $2,000 for the prescription drug co-pays. And then it's 100%, because there are no 80/20s or 70/30s, which is kind of a familiar connotation for most people when they hear about an 80/20. The alternate plan that I checkmarked for you to look at there, that would have the 1% increase, the difference for the employee would be this. Instead of having a $3,000 deductible for a single, it would be a $3,500, so it'd be $500 more out of pocket. And a family, it would just be an extra $1,000. It'd be twice that. And then when you see the 7,000 and so forth over there, what that is, it's the same premise as the other one, and it's 100%. So it's basically the same type of plan design, except it's a little more out of pocket for the employee. But it negates a 9.6 increase, it's only 1%.
Is it, everything same in network?
Yeah, your networks would not change. Your doctors you've been accustomed to, and your clinics, that wouldn't change. That would be the same.
Okay.
Yeah, there were no interruption there. And like I say, if you don't make a change, the cards and everything will be the same. If you make a change, then there'll be new cards. If you want to make a change, then there'll be a couple signature pages that we would have to do there. And we need to know fairly quick on that. I would say, by the 1st of November, we really should be doing something on that, end of this month or the 1st of November, because we're looking at a 12/1. If you don't make any changes, you don't need to do anything.
That's where the grandfather used to stay the same, if we do nothing.
Right.
Grandmother.
Mother now.
Yeah, or you can call it transitional. Some people don't want grandparent, you can call it grandparent. That's another
No
good one.
offense to my grandparents, either one of them.
I've had a lot of people ask me what my suggestion would be as an agent, not that, it's gonna swing the vote or anything like that, and, but I'm just saying that we're not having any companies lose their transitional plans. They're all having increases, but we're not, and some of them are having greater increases than yourself. But we're not having anyone want to give up that transitional plan. They're gonna kind of suck it up for another year, because they feel like, at the meetings I've gone to so far, they feel like there's going to be a cliff in January of 2018 like we've not seen before in healthcare. That's what the insurance companies are predicting. And I think eventually, this is my own opinion, I think that the agents will be taken out of the picture no matter who's elected, anywhere from 3 to 5 years, and we'll wind up, and that's what I'm doing right now, is basically turning myself over as a consultant in the future. Because right now, they've taken, like on the individual side, if a person loses their coverage, like if you quit your coverage here, and they're forced to go to the individual market and buy it, and we sign someone up, they've taken the agent commission and nullified their contract. Basically said, yeah, we have a contract in force, but since we're not making any money, we're not paying you either. So a lot of agents are going out of the business, and we've had a lot of them come to us and say, would you mind, we trust you, we'd like for you to take over our business. But there's a point where we want to just get so big too, we don't want to get too big that we can't handle people. But if there's any way you can do it, I guess I would say I would urge you to stay with the same plan, not because I want you to take a higher premium, but I think that they may end up kicking the can down the road, because there's a new election, there's not going to be a lot get done in the beginning. And I don't think there's going to be great changes, so I think for those on transitional might reap some benefits a little longer than those that don't have anything to hang on to as far as a grandfather status. But you don't have to make a decision tonight. I just wanted to present that, so if you have any other questions for me, I'll be more than happy to answer them, or if you want to direct those to Pat and Sheila, because I can come up, I can come to other meetings, I can, whatever you want. If I don't know the answer, I'll get you the answer, if there is an answer.
Thank you much, Glenn.
All right.
I'm on the
Motion to
I make a motion to table.
Yeah, I'll second that. We'll table it. Maybe we can get together and get back Friday. We got stuff to talk about.
We'll set up an executive session.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not for this.
Okay.
it'll be pretty good.
Okay.
All right, if you don't mind, I would like to ask permission to be excused. I have some other appointments this evening.
Dismiss.
All right, thank you very much, folks.
Yep. Okay, Linda Stapleton or Linda Schrock, who wants to visit?
Well, I can go. Do you want to introduce me first, or is that, they all know you? So.
Okay. This is Linda Schrock from Logansport Memorial.
Thank you for letting me kind of just be here and explain some things, or at least I'm kind of on a fact finding mission. And Linda, let me just introduce myself a little bit deeper. I'm Linda Schrock, and I'm Vice President of Human Resources at Logansport Memorial Hospital. I've been there for 17 years. So, and I am, one of my responsibilities is employee benefits. So I feel your pain when you hear all of this, and so I've been there. Of course, you know, we're self-funded and partially self-funded, and so we've dealt with building our own benefit plans, trying to reduce the cost and all of those with our employees. And you guys work with our workplace wellness team, and we appreciate that, and you know, trying to get people, our employees, healthy and on that track. But again, I'm here on a fact-finding mission because there was whisperings that there was potentially talk about a clinic and for employees, and would love to be able to, I guess, if this is really being considered, to have Logansport come and present and get some numbers and really talk about how that works, how we could structure it and build it to where it would meet the needs without having the capital outlay of a building. We have a building right across the street, and we have practitioners, we have doctors that are available. We work with other companies in Logansport as well as out in the areas that if access is an issue, if costs are an issue, we're able to structure the benefit plan design so that way they could go right directly to the clinic and show a card, and the employees not pay a dime unless you decide to have them have a copay. We bill it directly to the plan and be able to structure it that way. So there's some alternatives to having a clinic and having, again, the capital outlay of a clinic for county employees or city employees or whoever else you wanted to be in that plan. And again, if it's you desire, we would love to be able to put some of that together and be able to present that and what it would look like, how it would work if you would like that.
As a little background, when Glendon was here discussing the insurance with me, he mentioned at that time that he is trying to get some kind of a clinic together for the policies that he holds. And on hearing that, he also said he'd like it in Delphi. And my thought was, if we have a clinic, it needs to be here in Camden, because we already have a building, we have the nurse practitioner. And I really thought he was going to address that tonight, but he didn't get into that. So that's why I contacted Linda, and Linda asked Linda Schrock to come over to kind of discuss it. I don't know if you really have any questions, since Lyndon didn't give his presentation on it, but I just think you need to be aware.
Would the clinic be in lieu of, it'd be an adjusted insurance plan and?
Yeah, it would be something, and I guess I'm not real familiar with the background of your plan.